Okay, we're finishing up our graft here. As you can see, the columns are lining up nicely. So we're just going to do the last few stitches. As you might have noticed before, I'm folding the waste yarn kind of back under so that the contrasting waste yarn stitches are right at the edge of my work, so I can line them up together. And when I go through the bottom piece, I'm only going and following the contrasting yarn through the bottom loop. Okay, I'm avoiding the other color of waste yarn. And then when I go through the top, I'm only going through the top loop. Okay, now when we get to the side of the column, we do need to pull these stitches apart a little bit so we can see where our yarn is going. Okay, so now we're back to our knit column. So we're going to go in like a purl, out like a knit. Okay. We've got our last few stitches here. Okay. I'm going to demonstrate what happens. I'm going to show you what happens when I go through the brown yarn also. Okay, so we've got our different colors of waste yarn. So when I follow the path of the yarn this time, I'm going to go through the brown yarn also. Now it is fairly easy to do this by accident. Not that easy on that type of stitch, but anyway, so I went through the brown yarn there so you can see what will happen when we're finished. So we've gone through the last stitch on the upper piece on the edge. So now we're going to go back down to the bottom and look at our contrasting yarn. And we've already followed this path with this strand right here. So the only loop left is this single loop that kind of curls around to the back of it. So we're just going to go through that single loop. And we are done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away my contrasting yarn. So I'm going to free up this contrasting yarn a bit. And then I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to carefully snip the contrasting yarn. Only the contrasting yarn, like this. Okay, and what happens is that then it comes free of our main yarn and allows it to be removed very easily. Since the other color, the brown yarn, was not sewn at all, it comes free with the contrasting yarn. But now if I go over here, where I actually sewed through a loop of that yarn, now when I try to free my contrasting yarn, I can see that it's actually gotten stuck a little bit. Let's see if we can find this spot where I actually sewed through it. There. Oh, it's right here actually. So see, this brown yarn has been looped through by the main yarn. So it's not a disaster, you just have to snip that yarn too. Okay, so let's see how we're doing on the right side now that we've started to get this free. And you can see how nicely the stitches look now that the contrasting waste yarn is gone.